the game of the week. The Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, after his heroics, yet not actually winning the game, go into Detroit and face the juggernaut, Dan Campbell's juggernaut. Who would have thought it all those years ago in that press conference that we would be talking about Dan? We knew it, but Dan Campbell has created a juggernaut, and they are the most balanced offense in the entire game, right?
Yep.
The only weakness they have is throwing outside the numbers.
Yeah, that's because Jameson. There's something wrong with Jameson.
Well, it's not just that. It's a Jared Goff thing. Jared Goff over the middle and his anticipation throws is incredible, right? He's brilliant at throwing over the middle. Outside the numbers, his completion percentage drops significantly.
He ain't got the arm.
But who do we think is going to win this one? Do we think it's going to be... I don't think it's going to be plain and simple, because the Buffalo Bills have shown that they've got heart. They're able to pull through even though when the opponent is playing well.
They'll battle.
Now, they will battle, but can they keep the Buffalo... can they keep Detroit Lions from scoring a shed load of points? Because the Rams put up 44 points on them last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
44 points. And they're coming up against a team that runs the ball well, throws the ball well, has numerous weapons. Is it going to be a simple case of we're just going to have to score, just going to have to keep up?
I agree. I think it's going to Bills.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Bills have to just keep up, because looking at their defense, I think the Lions have a better defense. The Lions will be able to at least take their rushing power out of the game, stop the run from the Buffalo. And Josh Allen will simply have to be Superman again this coming game, like he was last week, even though he tried and fought for every inch and every touchdowns that the Bills could get, yet they still lost the game to the Rams. So it's an indictment on their defense, rather, because when your quarterback performs on such a high level, similar to Joe Burrow, but he even added rushing touchdowns, it means that your defense got to come up with some stop at least to help him be able to get a victory. And I think they're going to lose to the Lions simply because the Lions have this the balance of the offense, and it's like a whole team effort. Yes, Goff is having a great year, but with the Lions can pinpoint certain players having special moments at critical points in the game. So it feels more like a team effort spearheaded by Jared Goff, but it's more like team effort, because there are days where certain parts of the game, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to go off, then Montgomery is going to go off, then Goff or Amon-Ra. So it's kind of it's more like a team and cohesive effort. And that's what makes it so difficult.
So what we saw in last week's game against the Packers is Tim Patrick, right?
He went off.
Gets those 2 touchdowns. Really important. And then Jameson Williams had a decent enough game. Sam Laporta got a little bit more involvement than he had this season. There seemed to be if you look at it, Montgomery 5 receptions, Jahmyr Gibbs 6 receptions, Amon-Ra 5 receptions, Jameson 5 receptions, Laporta 5 receptions, Tim Patrick 6 receptions. Spread. That ball was spread around.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what makes it so difficult when you play the Lions, because certain teams you can sort of game plan and pinpoint who their threats are going to be. Like when you play the Minnesota Vikings, if I can have some sort of bet on JJ and Addison, I might have a successful day, and if I can stop those guys, and try and take my shots here and there, I'll be able to be successful. But with the Lions, you don't know, because you could think, okay, let me take Amon-Ra away. Well, you take Amon-Ra away, Montgomery and Gibbs is going to go off, or Tim Patrick, or Laporta. So it's it makes it so difficult. When it's I think this season they're the truly balanced offense within the NFL, whereby it can be anybody to have a big day for them to win. Oh, and also they'll bite your kneecap on the way.
With the running backs last week, they ran the ball 29 times.
Yep, the pound.
Fundamentally, that is okay. They only went 94 yards with it, 29 times. So it wasn't massively efficient. But what it did do is time of possession. They had 36 minutes out of the 60. If you control, and we saw that time of possession last week was a key factor in the Rams winning.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had the lion's share of time of possession. They were able to run the ball with Kyren Williams as well. So It's going to be interesting to see how the Lions are able to do that against the Bills this coming week. If you look at they're rushing yards per game, Buffalo's 19th in the league. They're better against the pass, whereas the Detroit Lions are better against the rush than the pass. But then if you look at it, you can't. Their safeties are elite, and that can factor in as well. All right, so do any of us think? I can't believe we're going to be saying this. Do any of us think that the Bills are actually going to go into Ford Field and win?
I don't think so. Detroit are just an absolute.
I mean, someone's got to pull for the Bills, man. Come on, do it.
I think one thing I will say is I think the Bills play their best ball when their back's against the wall. Because I think if you turn it into a shootout, that's when you're going to get the best Josh Allen. Because I think he's going to realize that, okay, cool, it's a shootout. I'm just going to have to sling it. And that's when he'll go back and forth. So I actually think it's going to be like a case of whose defense is able to hold up longer against these haymakers that are coming. But that being said, I think Detroit is just an absolute juggernaut of a team. They are the definition of a football team, where they're not necessarily the best at one thing, but they do everything at such a high level, whether it's special teams, defense, offense, receiving, running. They do it all, and they do it all really well. They're just so hard to beat because you can't pinpoint an area of weakness. So as a defensive coordinator, you've basically got to go to a team and say, good, what do they do well? All right, we've got to take that away. Well, they do everything fairly well. How do you take it away?
So if you look at the last 5 games for the Packers, for the Lions, right? Packers, Bears, Colts, Jags, Texans is who they've played. The most passing yards they gave up was 223 yards in those 5 games. Now, obviously, not massively efficient. Like Colts, Jags haven't been massively efficient in the passing game, but the Texans, you would have expected them to get more than 192 yards through the air in that one. So, Detroit, even though their passing defense isn't perceived to be as good, you look at the latter end of the season. Well, the last 5 games particularly, they have been money, and it's whether Josh Allen is, well, firstly, if he's able to keep up, which we know he's capable of doing, but it's whether or not the time of possession will prevent him from doing that as well, because he's going to have to go down the field quickly to be able to keep up as well, because if they go 3 and out one time, that could be a situation where the Lions take advantage. Now, one thing that the Lions are going to have to avoid probably in this game is they're not. So last game they had to convert numerous 4th downs. They had numerous 4th and goals and scored touchdowns on them. Now that's whilst they're probably going to have to, like, if they get 4th down in the red zone against the Bills, they're probably going to have to do the same, but there's only so many times that you're going to have to be that efficient. If you're like being that efficient on 4th and goal it's going to crack at some point. So they're going to have to improve their red zone offense a little bit more to get it done before it gets to 4th down. But yeah, I think the Bills are gonna. Bills will not be able to win, so Lions to win in this one. And
Yeah. Lions to win from me, mate.
And Peter, you said Lions as well, so it's a full house over
Yes,
here.
the
But
Lions.
pop a comment down below. Who do you think is going to win? Can the Bills actually win?